All right, I'm going to answer all of these questions for you in one video. So this one, it says a quadratic function in standard form. First of all, you need to know what standard form is. Now, this is not standard form. It's kind of weird because at the earlier, when you start learning math at an earlier age, earlier mathematics, standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. But once you get to the higher level mathematics, for some reason, I honestly don't know why they switched what standard form is, and it's actually vertex form. That's really what it is. So vertex form looks like this. And again, I'm at home during the summer months and using a mouse, so it's a little sloppier. That's vertex form, and HK is the vertex. So there's a long way to do this and a short way to do this. So since you have all of this other information, then I would just go straight to the answer. I mean, there is a way to get to the answer using completing the square, and I could show that to you if you want me to show you how to do that. But if you can find all this other information and the graph without, actually all you need is the vertex. I mean, all you need is the vertex. Notice the A is a 1. It's right here, the A. AX squared plus BX plus C. So the A is a 1, so the A will be a 1 right here. So really the formula is y equals 1, which you don't need to write that. And then x minus the vertex, the x minus the h. So again, hk is the vertex. So this is going to be plus 3. And then plus k, so minus 9. So that right there is in vertex form, or what they call standard form. So, and you can always check it. You can always graph this right here, and it will be this function right now. If you plugged in, your function that you wrote, that is not the same function as that. So, it's easy to check it. If you ever have time on a quiz or test afterwards, you can always check it just by graphing your answer, and it will have the vertex here. It will have the x-intercepts. It will have the y-intercepts. So this is just a different format of what it is. Again, the answer you put there is not the same answer as that. If you graph those two, it would be two different parabolas. So it's a good way to double check it. On this one right here, find a function whose graph is a parabola. Now, we know the vertex is 7, 8. So remember what I just tell you, vertex form, or again, standard. Standard is this right here. And if you know this, then it's going to help you on several of these problems. So we know vertex is 7, 8. So it's literally x minus 7 plus 8. Now, what do we do after that? Well, we haven't used this yet. This information is, we're going to replace the x and the y with the x and the y. So this is really negative 9. And we don't know the a, but the x is 6. Again, excuse my handwriting on it with the mouse. It's a little sloppy. So 6 minus 7 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. So 1 times a is just a. So a plus 8 equals negative 9, which means a equals negative 17. So now that we know a is negative 17, then we can write the vertex form, or I'm so used to calling it vertex form, but again, that's standard form. So now the a is negative 17. And again, I know the vertex is 7, 8. So x minus 7 plus 8. And again, that's an 8, that's a 7. if I graph this thing, like if I had a graphing calculator or just graphed it using an XY chart, you know, if I graph that, it would have a vertex of 7, 8, and it would also cross through that point. So it's a good way to check it, because it has to be the vertex 7, 8, and it has to go through that point. Any other equation would not work. So you can easily check it. All right, this one right here, two polynomials P and D are given. Use either synthetic or long division. I don't care which one you want to do. I like synthetic. I mean, synthetic is the word long division. It's longer, but you know, some students prefer that one. So let me do long division. You know, try to be a little bit more specific with your questions. If you need help, you know, I can help you. But here I'm going to go over long and synthetic just to show you. But you know, either one, it'd be nice if I knew you just had a problem with long division or just a problem with synthetic. So, so here's x plus 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to, you know, what times x is 4x squared, and that's 4x. Now, once we find 4x, now we're going to multiply it by the whole binomial. So 4x squared plus 20x. And then just like any division problem, you subtract. Well, 4x squared minus 4x squared cross each other out. 3 minus 20 is negative 17x. And then minus 1. Now, if you go through again, just like division, you keep dividing. So what times x, again, just to highlight there, what times x is negative 17? That's negative 17. And negative 17 times x is negative 17x. And negative 17 times 5 is negative 85. The reason why I prefer synthetic is because this long division, a lot of students make mistakes. So remember, when you subtract, you got to subtract carefully. Negative 17 subtract negative 17 is they cross each other out. Negative 1 subtract negative 85 is positive 84. So that's like your remainder. Now, what do I have right now? I have this binomial times this binomial, and then I have an 84 remainder. So literally you have that times that, the two parentheses I just said, plus 84. And notice that's what I have, dx times qx plus rx. That's really what I have there. Okay, now a quicker way to do it using synthetic, you know, you just write synthetic, you just write the coefficients. And you know, when you set this equal to 0, you're always using synthetic division with 0. So this is actually a negative 5. So you bring 4 down, multiply. You're going to do multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add. That's negative 17. Negative 5 times negative 17 is 85. And then you get 84. So, and then what does this mean? What do those numbers mean? Well, I started off with 4x squared, so now I divided it by x plus 5. So this is 4x. That's what this means. 4x minus 17. It's an 84 remainder. Remember, we divided by x plus 5. So you still get the same answer. See, this is superior because look how little work I have to show instead of all of this. I love synthetic. It's way faster. All right, this one right here, your work is fine. I would use synthetic again. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing, plugging 4 in. But again, if you plugged in, you know, 1, negative 4, synthetic division is the exact same thing as what you're doing. And it tells you C is 4. So, you know, you bring 1 down and then multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add. So 4 times 1 is 4. Add, you get 0. 4 times 0 is 0. Add. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. And add, and you get a 0. Now, what do you have left? You have this left over right here. And what does that mean? Well, we started with x cubed, so this is x squared plus 0x. I'm not going to write it, plus 0x, and then minus 6. And that's a factor. Well, we're trying to find 0, so you set that equal to 0. Well, add 6 to both sides. So x squared equals 6. And then you just have to square root both sides. So plus or minus 6. The square root of 6. So those are the other two zeros. Synthetic division, I'm going to say it. I love it. It's so fast. It helps you divide and get your answers. Instead of even all of that, you can easily get your 0. I mean, that's so much easier, in my opinion. All right, and then lastly, this one right here. Again, you're finding, I know the zeros is where it crosses the x line. It's at -4 right there. Now let me use a highlighter instead. So I have -4, I have -3, and I have 1. Now, that's only 3 zeros, but you notice it's degree 4. Well, do you notice when you graph this? So right now, by the way, I have x equals -4. I have x equals -3. And I have x equals 1. So that means this right here is actually x minus 4, or plus 4. This is x plus 3. And this is x minus 1. Now again, this is supposed to be degree 4. If I multiplied all those out, it would only be x to the 3rd power. There's only 3 x's. So you're like, well, how do I get it degree 4? Well, do you notice this graph? It goes through the x line. See, it goes down and it goes through -4. And then it curves back and it goes through -3. And then it comes back at 1 and it doesn't go through. It doesn't pass through the x line. It bounces. Anytime a graph bounces, that means it happens more than once. It happens an even amount of times. So it happens 2 times or 4 times or 6 times. So anytime it bounces, I know it's repeating an even amount of times. So this one right here actually happens twice. So x minus 1 squared. And again, if I multiplied all, by the way, that's all you have to do. I actually make my students I actually want the whole polynomial. I want them to multiply all that out. The WebAssign doesn't want you to. You can, it's not wrong, but they actually accept this answer right here as your polynomial. Again, I would make my students FOIL all this out and get an actual polynomial. P of x equals blank, 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 to be able to do that. So again, that's how you do it. You just look where it crosses. If it bounces, it happens more than once, 2 times, 4 times, 6 times, something like that. And that's the graph for that. If you have any more questions, let me know.